good to see everyone joining us, and Natalie is in the house, so we are excited to get started and just to thank everyone for joining us today. So just as a little bit of an introduction, every Wednesday for the last year since March, I've been doing a Wednesday Wellness Wednesday Zoom meeting for a group that gets together at 8:30 every morning. And then prior to that, probably about a year and a half or so ago, I started doing a Zoom call one Saturday a month to introduce this to someone else and have them tell us their story about what's going on in their bright line eating journey, and for us to just learn a little bit from each other. So this has just been so fun for me and for all of us to be able just to kind of get to know each other a little bit better. And I'm just so thrilled to have Natalie Aul with us today, and so thrilled to have each of you with us as well. So we just want to start off with just a little bit of a conversation with Natalie, just to get to know her and her background story. I have a couple of questions I'd like to ask her, because if you don't know, Natalie has authored 17 cookbooks, 17 no flour, no sugar cookbooks. And so we're going to be putting some information out there for you to check out her website and learn all about her offerings. I am the proud owner of 2 of her cookbooks. Woohoo! And I will share a little bit about some of my favorite recipes, and we'll just have a good conversation together, and then we will definitely open it up towards the end for you to ask questions. So after we're probably talking about a half an hour or so, please put any questions you can think of in the chat for us to be sure and address, because we really are looking forward to getting to know Natalie better and to really just pick her brain, right?
Oh, goodness.
She's probably one of the youngest people that I know that has had such remarkable success on this right lane eating journey. And you're 28, is that correct?
27, so pretty close.
27. Okay, all right, 27. Oh my goodness. And she's has lost how much?
Over 87 pounds. Yeah.
Isn't that remarkable? Over 87 pounds. So, you know, one of the things that thrills me the most in reference to this conversation is I struggled with my weight from age 18 to age 60 before I found Bright Line Eating. And it just thrills me to no end for Natalie, for Natalie to have found this so early in her life, and to be blessed by this so early in her life.
Yeah.
And that is such a delight. So tell us about your story. When did you start? How did you hear about it?
Definitely.
We've talked with her mother and her sister over the last couple of months, and I know a lot of you may know a little bit about her story, but tell us how this all happened.
Yeah, so I was probably overweight since I was really young, probably around like 10. I was very tall for my age, and then I was always the big girl. So I never had that experience of you were thin until like 18 and then you were overweight. So I never had that. So when we started this journey, us girls, we dove into this in October 2018. So just about 2 years ago. And we dove into this. And I remember when we did the 14-day challenge, Susan said something about that. Oh yeah, you'll know what your goal weight is, because just think about like when you were in high school and you were thin, and then you'll just know that, oh, that was a good weight for me. And I thought to myself, I don't really have that reference to go back to, because I've never really been thin. So I thought this will just be a whole new experience, a whole new adventure. I didn't know what to expect. So when I did lose the weight, I was pleasantly surprised how much, like, I lost the weight, but I gained so much more. Like, I gained confidence. I didn't realize how insecure I was. I hid a lot of my insecurities in like humor and just, I don't know, just feeling that I was free, and I was just I didn't really care about things, but inside I really did. I was really insecure, and I had really bad anxiety as a preteen and teen. Like, I was almost housebound. I couldn't leave my house. And then God totally, he healed my heart, healed my mind. And then I lost the weight. and the anxiety and all that stuff went away with it, which I was shocked. And I remember I was chatting with Linda Steele. I think I saw her on here. And she said, as a teenager, she dealt with anxiety too. And I thought it was the food. You were eating the sugar, you would get a high, and then you'd get a crash, then you'd feel anxious, and it just totally messed up my whole brain. I didn't even know that. My whole mental state. So cutting that out and being free from that. And now just the freedom I experienced that I've never had before has been amazing, just life-changing. No amount of sugar and flour tastes as good as freedom does. Yeah, it's definitely been amazing.
That's so surprising to me how many of us, as we're on the journey and our brain fog lifts and we start really seeing things a lot more clearly, how many of us realize we've had anxiety issues.
Right. I didn't even know that those two were put together, but they definitely
Yeah,
because
I never admitted it either. In 60 years, I never really admitted that I had anxiety issues, and now I see it so clearly. And I still have some anxiety issues, but I'm able to navigate those differently now. But yeah, so fascinating that seems to be a common thread that I see with a lot of people.
I was at the dentist just recently, not this last time, but the time before, and I'm pretty close to goal. I've been bouncing around about the same 10 pounds for a while, but anyway, so I was at the dentist, and the lady, she was so nice. She asked, "Oh, so what do you do for a living?" And I said, "Well, I write cookbooks." And then she said, "Oh," and then I was kind of like, "Yeah, weight loss cookbooks, no sugar, no flour." And then she said, "Oh, why did you want to change your diet?" And I thought to myself, because I was fat, and I told her that. And then I thought later, I'm like, wow, there's no insecurity. There's no bad feelings with that. I could just definitely say, yeah, I was fat before and now I'm not. It was so funny.
That's cute. And so what you described there was that you've been able to really heal and let go of any guilt or shame you felt from having this
Definitely.
fat suit that we were wearing, right?
Yes. And it wasn't even about the weight. It's like a whole state of mind. I hit a first goal weight at one point, and when I hit that weight, I just kind of sat there for a second and I thought, there wasn't confetti, the angels didn't sing, it wasn't you've reached your goal. It was just a Thursday. And I'm like, And I thought to myself, I was so glad that I set little goals and little celebrations along the way. Because if I wouldn't have done that, and if I would have just waited till I hit my goal weight, then I would have been really disappointed. Because I still have those days where I'm like, oh, I feel kind of fat, or I feel big, or I just feel like I don't look nice, because everybody has those. And then I thought, that's all in here. Because then when I look in the mirror, or just you catch yourself, you're like, whoa, who is that person? And then I have to remind myself, oh yeah, that's me. I'm not that other person anymore. So it's definitely a process.
I so get that, Natalie, but I am just kind of a little shocked because you were so adorable and so young and so perky, and it's like, you have that too? And I think that's part of the fun in this journey is as we get to know each other and we become more vulnerable and we share things, and there's a lot of women that are on this journey that start in their 50s, 60s, and 70s and 80s, and so it's just so interesting that you at 27 or experiencing that as well. The days that you think you feel fat and you're looking at yourself and it's not really resonating or whatever, but we all have those days. And I think it's so important for us to all be willing to admit that so that we can recognize just how much we are alike and just that this is just part of the human experience and it's okay.
Right. Yeah. It's definitely a learning journey, and not just learning to deal with the food, but just learning how to really love ourselves, how God loves us, and to remind ourselves that, what, God loved me even when I was overweight, even when I was in the food, even when I was just the worst person I could be, and that he still loves me now. And that my weight and how I see myself doesn't make God love me any more or any less. So then we have to learn that ourselves. And that is definitely like a mental and emotional and a heart learning journey. It's definitely a journey.
Why do you think that's so hard for so many of us?
Well, just think about all the self-hate we've given ourselves throughout how many years. We'll look in the mirror and we'll see ourselves overweight, because I know I did this. And then you're like, I can't stand myself. I don't like that about me. And we just pick and pick and pick. I saw this video one time years ago, and it was this lady, and she had this other lady come, and she had a picture of when this lady was a little girl. And she said, all the self-hate that you tell yourself, I want you to say it to yourself as a little girl. And she thought I couldn't do it because I couldn't tell this little girl all the things I tell myself. And how many times do our inside words pick and nag and just degrade ourselves so much? You could lose all the weight and you'll still find things about yourself that, I don't like that, or, I don't like my nose, I don't like my hair, I wish my thighs were smaller, I wish XYZ. It's just all these lies that we listen to, and it could be just our inside words. God brings us on life journeys all the time, and we think, I've arrived now, I've overcome the food, but then God will bring you on another life journey. And one of those I've been going through is my inside words count. They do. They count just as much as my outside words count. And that is just really something it's a process to overcome those inside words.
It is a process, and it really is a lifelong process. We like to think that we'll arrive at some point. I hit goal weight, or I've been in my goal weight body now for 44 months, right?
Woohoo!
It's still that inner game. So I started May of 2017, hit goal at the end of 2017, 60 pounds less than when I was initially, and been maintaining that now for 44 months. And yet still that inner game, still that inner work is continuing. And so one of the things, I think is so important for us all just to recognize that we all are doing this, right? There's nothing wrong with us because we have some inner work to do, or because we have this really tough, what I refer to, from the positive intelligence world in reference to having saboteurs. And we have this judge that you're describing and I'm describing that just always is kind of nagging, wagging that finger or saying something ugly. And really for some of us, that voice can be very, very harsh.
Yes.
And so, but for so many of us, as I've worked with people sponsoring and coaching and stuff through these last couple of years, so many of us are not even hardly aware of this voice. It's just going on there, and we just don't even realize that we're beating ourselves up. And sometimes we're wondering why at the end of the day we're feeling so depleted. And often it's because of this inner war we have going on, and we're beating ourselves up all day long. And when we, criticizing ourselves continually, and then we wonder why we're feeling tired, depleted, overwhelmed, stressed out. And so frequently it's because of this inner, ugly, negative, critical voice that we have that's beating
exactly.
us.
Yeah. And
part of the work.
I noticed one thing I was reading in the Bible, and it was talking about strongholds. And those strongholds, we think, that's like the devil and all this stuff. But those strongholds are really thoughts. And what happens is the enemy, the devil, those lies, they'll hide in those thoughts, and they'll create this stronghold in your mind, and they'll try to convince you that it's really you saying these things, that this is you, that you're the problem. But really, it's just this stronghold that we've built with our minds, in our mind. And this is where the enemy will build that, and then he'll go out from there and do exploits. He'll do wars with us. So when you crumble down each of those strongholds one at a time, then you'll find even more freedom. And we do that you can't just kill thoughts with thoughts. You have to get rid of thoughts with words. So sometimes I know there's one saying that you're only one thought away from a good day. Well, how do you change that? You have to change that with your words. So I've literally done this. I think I did this yesterday. I was having a day and I thought to myself, wait. Why am I having this day? My circumstances don't determine my happiness. So I had to literally stop and tell myself, girl, you're having a good day. And I had to say words out loud. And it's funny how saying those words out loud can be the hardest thing to do. But it's the one thing that'll get rid of those inner thoughts and it'll stop those.
I so agree. And there's another scripture that refers to the renewing of the mind. And I think that's exactly what you're saying there. The whole idea that we really need to take a look at what's going on in there and renew it, reframe it. But when you grew up, I mean, your mother's a pastor. You grew up, God believing and things. So what has changed on this journey in reference to your now underlying beliefs, or how would you describe this change? Because this is not new things for you. You were raised with this, right?
Well, I mean, when you become a Christian, it's kind of like you start out a baby and you grow up. So as you keep growing and learning, God can show you more and more and more because you're ready to handle that. So I think God started us on this journey of our inner thoughts, our inner words, that they actually count. When did we start that? That was a year ago or so. It was after we started the whole weight loss thing.
It was
Yeah, it was after that. We hadn't lost all the weight loss. It was maybe about a little bit over a year ago that God started us on this inner healing journey. And that really, I didn't know how much was in here and how much was in here until we started that. And I'm like, oh no, I'm way too far gone. But thank God for his grace and mercy, because he helped us work through things. Not that I've arrived. I mean, I'm still working on things, but it's been a learning journey for all of us as individuals, us as a family, us as a church family. It's been definitely a learning journey together.
I think that is so important for us to share. A lot of people talk about, you need to do your inner work.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, I feel like we talk about the outer transformation, and maybe we can have Kelly share with us. Kelly's your sister.
She's here.
She's my assistant. I don't think I have anything ready to share your before and after picture, but if we could show that would be fun, because we look at these outer transformations that have taken place and how different we look now than you looked before, because you said 87 pounds.
Yeah.
Is an amazing outer transformation, right?
Right.
But I really love to talk about that inner transformation that we don't really see. That it's the inner transformation that allows us to make this journey sustainable.
Exactly.
Because there's so frequently we can go through the outer transformation and we're excited because we keep losing, but if the inner transformation hasn't happened gradually along the same time that the outer transformation is happening, it's going to be so easy for that weight to come back on. It's going to be so easy. It's because I remember this saying I heard not too long ago that I've quoted quite frequently. It said it's not about losing the weight. It's about losing the mindset and the lifestyle that got you to gain the weight in the first place, right? It's about losing that. We have to lose that old mindset that caused us to gain weight. And that's what I believe you're referring to, is that this gradual healing that's taken place as you've gone through the weight loss process has also been a transformation. It's again, we look at the outer transformation, but could you speak some more about the inner transformation in reference to what do you think has been the greatest change or has shocked you the most about this?
Definitely. So exactly. I mean, you said it. If you don't lose the weight here, the weight of your self-hate, or even the root of the problem, then like you said, you'll get to maintenance and it'll just come right back, because there's no more goals to keep you going. Because you'll be like, oh, well, I've lost all the weight, so there's no motivation to keep you going there.
There's an echo happening right now. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah. I think, yeah. So Kelly found a picture. Let's see if I can show it. This is before and after. And I always think it's funny how I'm standing with my brother in like every picture. And he, to me, is like the epitome of a healthy body. So that was before and after. This picture over here, this was like exactly the day that we started. And then this was at church just a while ago. So from like a size 2X to a small. And sometimes extra small, depending on the clothing, because all clothes is different. Yeah.
Well, you look fabulous.
Oh,
and you're just so sweet and bubbly and joy filled. How has that changed? I mean, you know, I guess I just envision you always being this bubbly, sweet, bouncy, like you said, funny person that you would use humor oftentimes. What else has changed for you?
well, I definitely growing up, I was a like energetic. We were in like theater things and I loved it. Our church is very theatrical. We do a kids program, all this stuff. And I did that throughout the whole process. So sometimes those videos will come up of memories years ago of us doing our blast program. And I was a host with one of the puppets. And I look at myself and I'm always shocked because I never realized how big I had gotten. Because, you tell yourself body positivity. Oh, that's normal. You justify it, right? And then I see myself and I'm like, oh my. You don't realize till you see those. And those are good reminders because they're good goalkeepers as I'm never going to go back to that bondage that I was in. And you can be so joyful on the outside, but really be masking things inside. So on the outside, you're like, oh, I'm this really happy person. They say this about like a lot of depressed people. And you'll see that a lot of comedians, they'll be really depressed because making other people happy. Really depressed. Making other people happy helps you. It gives you dopamine when people laugh at your jokes, all that kind of stuff. So it was definitely when I lost the weight, I found how to be happy on the inside too. And I found a joy in cooking and putting my creativity into that. And I found a joy in like helping others, encouraging others. I know the recipe site Kelly started, there's so many ladies on there and just helping and encouraging other people. Oh man, that hits the spot. That like makes me the happiest person when I see other people getting free and like encouraging people and helping people, because it really gets the focus off of myself and my problems and the things that are huge in my brain onto, wow, look at this person. They've overcome this. I can help them. I can encourage them. I can sow and give into their life and help them also. And then see them be happy and set free. And the goals of that just really, they just enrich my life so much.
Oh, that is so beautiful. That is so beautiful. There is something really important about us, giving back. And I think, Susan speaks about having buddies and masterminds and the Gideon games and different things like that to help us to be able to engage with others and recognizing that the support goes both ways. We can offer support and be open to receiving support. Yes. I think there's something really important about allowing ourselves to be seen and heard and, honest and open and vulnerable and having people to be able to share with is so wonderful. And you've helped create a platform for that. So that is excellent. So at what point did you decide, I think I want to write a cookbook? I mean, how did that happen?
Well, I always thought, because I'm the youngest in my family. I'm the youngest grandkid on both sides of my mom and dad's side. So I always pictured myself like I'm 27, but sometimes I feel like I'm 12 all the time. So when we started the recipe site first, and then I thought, you know what, we should start a like support group at our church because some of the other ladies there were asking about it. So they wanted to join in this fun too. So we were going to start that. And I thought to my mom or sister, I'm like, you know what, guys, you should write a cookbook. I think we're getting some feedback here.
Let me just see. I don't know what happens. Have you go ahead. I'm muted
There we
everybody
go.
just to be sure, and I'll go ahead and unmute. Yeah, I don't
There
know
we
why
go.
it pops in. Okay.
Oh, well. So I told them, I'm like, you know what, girls, you start a cookbook. I'll help. We'll all write recipes, all this stuff. I don't know. And then my mom said, well, why don't you write it? And I'm like, me? But I'm a child. And I'm like, oh, no, wait. I'm like 25. I'm not a child anymore. So Kelly, she's like, I would help you. I would publish it. So we kind of dove into this. And man, when I first started it, we put it together. Kelly helped me. We got the format down and all this stuff. And right before I was going to share and just see on the recipe site if it would create traction, if people actually would want this. So when I posted it, I was so nervous. So many people were so supportive. They were so sweet. I got a couple people, though, that were like, one lady we had to ban from the site. She's like, I hope you get sued, F you, blah, blah, blah. It was horrible. I had a couple other people do this too. And I'm like, maybe I shouldn't do this. But I thought, oh, well, let's do it anyways. What's the worst that could happen? I could just stop. So I published it. And when I got that first book in my hand, because you can order a proof, I was literally shaking when I got it. I was so nervous. And I'm like, let's just do this anyways. So I published it and people loved it. And I thought, okay.
Volume 1 right here. Volume 1. And then how long ago was that? When did that one come out?
Oh, it was pretty soon after we started. It was September 2019, I think. September 2019. Yes. I think that was like the first one. And then after that, I was hooked. Making these recipes, putting them in the cookbook. It's kind of like, I think of it as, you know, like a kid will color a picture and then they'll be like, now what do I do with this? There's no purpose for it. So put it on the fridge for like a week and then it just gets thrown away. But if you have like a purpose, oh man, I never realized how much of a goal-orientated person I was until I started creating these recipes. And then I think I published a cookbook a month after that. I was just like, yeah, let's do it. It was so fun. And then finding out that it wasn't just me who thought these recipes were tasty, but other people liked it too. That was like a cherry on the top of that parfait right there. It was just so fun. And it's taken off from there.
It has 17 cookbooks later, right?
Yeah.
All right, so I have volume 1, I have volume 11.
Yes.
And then you have other larger volumes. So tell us more about the 17 volumes and how they're different. And if somebody wanted to start with one, where would they start? And what would tell us a little bit about that.
So volumes 1 through 11 are all separate recipes from each other. So there's no like repeat recipes. There might be like a sauce or seasoning, that kind of thing that'll just be added to the later volumes because you'll need, I don't know, like the taco seasoning recipe for some things. But those are all separate recipes. Those are just brand new creations. I kind of feel like my cookbooks are a diary of what I eat in about 60 days or so, that kind of thing. So those are all separate volumes. Then I have Cooking with Joy 1, and that is the big book, and that's volumes 1 through 5. I put that all together in one book. So that's like over 300 recipes. Uh-oh, we're getting some feedback again. We're getting some feedback again. It must be somebody.
If there's somebody, like, are you and Kelly real close to each other?
Oh, Kelly, are you unmuted?
If there's somebody,
Kelly. I think, is it Mom's unmuted? Because it says unmuted.
All right, now unmute yourself again, Kelly. I mean, Natalie. Kelly is your sister, and I know Kelly real well. So yeah, so go ahead.
That's okay. My own family gets us mixed up, and I just answer to both names. So Cooking with Joy is volumes 1 through 5 in one big book. Then I made a whole food plant-based volume because I had so many people asking me that, oh, are these recipes whole food plant-based, or are they vegan or dairy-free? And I like dairy, meat, and all that stuff. So I'm like, no, they're not. But some of my recipes were like naturally, some of them just were whole food, plant-based, and vegan. So I'm like, well, I could put a volume together of just those recipes. So I took those, put them in one volume. Then I made a holiday volume. So I took all the holiday inspired recipes from volumes 1 through 8, and I put them in one book. And that has over, I think it's like over 120 just holiday inspired recipes. Then I did another 5 volumes that would on the timeline of things. So then I made Cooking with Joy 2, which is volumes 6 through 10 in one big old cookbook. So you can get volumes 1 through 10 in 2 big cookbooks, and that's like over 600 recipes. Then after that, I put together a whole food plant-based volume 2, and that has over 60 recipes that are more whole food plant-based vegan recipes. So those would be a bunch of those recipes in there. And I think, then I put together a 14-day meal plan. So if you do like the 14-day challenge, this would help you kind of have the recipes to go along with it. And that's called Simply Delicious. So you could really start with any of the volumes, because especially like the numbered volumes, they're all recipes separate from each other. I usually recommend starting with volume 1, Cooking with Joy 1, or Simply Delicious, because those each have great starting and like foundational recipes. But I also have a recipe index and food gallery for each of the recipe cookbooks, each of the single volumes on my website, weightlossrecipescookbook.com. And then
Kelly was putting that in this chat for us.
Oh, good.
Oh, great. Yeah.
Yeah, and that can kind of show you what recipes would like taste best for you, because they each kind of have a little bit different flavors in each of them. So that's just kind of the rundown of all the cookbooks.
So when you're creating a new recipe, is there any specific criteria you use? I mean, no sugar, no flour, of course, but have you experimented with, adding sugar or flour in a recipe where it's the 5th or 6th ingredient? Or do you strictly stay with no sugar, no flour?
That's a good question. I have not put any sugar, any flour, because I know for me that's a really slippery slope. And I don't even want to like play with that kind of stuff, because you're just playing with fire. You're going to get burned. Not saying that like when you go out to eat, you never know what's in the sauces and that kind of things. But then I know I'm going to go home and back to my normal, which is no sugar, no flour. So all my recipes have absolutely no sugar, no flour. I have been kind of dabbling with, because we have 2 guys in our house that don't eat blie. They don't eat strictly. They'll have like a little bit of flour. They're pretty good. They don't bring like candy or any kind of that type of stuff. So I'll make them like casserole type things. So I have been slowly working on putting together like a healthy family cookbook to kind of be like, I'm going to cook no sugar, no flour for me. And then I'll have this cookbook for like casserole and easy family recipes for the rest of the family who would eat a little bit of that. So I'm slowly working on that.
Interesting. So are you saying you do all the cooking in your family then?
Kind of. It hasn't been like, now Natalie's the cook of the family. So everybody's on their own for breakfast and lunch. Once in a great while, I'll be like, okay, guys, I have this new recipe. It's so yummy. You all have to try it, and I'll make them all it. But usually supper, because we all eat in the same house, it's 5 adults. Usually supper, I'll be like, I'll just make dinner. And then sometimes the girls will help out, or sometimes my dad right now, he's chopping some potatoes for them and some rutabagas for us, because we're going to make rutabaga fries, and we're having some fried fish. So it's kind of a group effort, but most of the time I'll just cook dinners, which is pretty easy.
Okay. Do you have any recipes in here for the air fryer?
I don't. Don't have any recipes in cookbooks yet for air fryers. They are coming soon. But I did get an air fryer, and I really like it. But those recipes just haven't gotten in the cookbooks yet, because I'm like backed up on recipes, because I really like variety. So I have all these recipes, and I got to get to the air fryer recipes. But they're coming soon.
Telling us you're holding out on us, Kelly? You're holding out?
I know. I'm sorry. I try not to. I know. I wish I could just be like, make the recipe, put it out right away, but it's a process of getting them together and then putting them in there.
Right. So
Yeah.
have you found that you have any specific trigger foods or foods that you feel like you have to stay away from, not use, or use really sparingly? And what are you on the scale?
When I tested, I was more of a 7 or an 8. I took it a couple times just to see. But my drug of choice was like breads and dough. I didn't really care for chocolate. That wasn't my thing. I would rather have like more fruity. But my thing for me is I'm a quantities person.
Hmm.
So I'm not like, oh, peanut butter's triggering, any of that. I'm not really triggered by like certain foods. I'm triggered by, oh, my plate looks really small. I would rather have more than have like peanut butter. So I would rather have 8 ounces yogurt compared to 2 ounces peanut butter. So that's for me. So I more of this snacking, or not snacking, but adding more things. That's more of a trigger for me than certain foods. Does that make sense? I think
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Well, oftentimes we speak in bright line eating, and I know Susan has talked about this, that we keep our food black and white so we can live in color, which I love that one a lot. And the whole idea that we want to keep our food simple is
Mhm.
just really important to help to calm down our brains and things like that. So would you feel, I know there's been some resistance sometimes, so people thinking, oh, maybe these foods are too sexy or too
Yeah.
too enticing or whatever. How do you address that? How is that, has that affected you? If you feel like that's been difficult, or what would your thoughts be on that?
I have had many people say, like, it'll be a just simple muffin recipe or even like a pancake, and they'll be like, oh, I can't, that's just triggering. And to me, I don't understand that because I almost quit. Because when we started, it was about 100 days in, I almost quit because I thought I cannot have another meal of just steamed vegetables and baked chicken with a slice of cheese. If I have that again, I'm going to quit. That's when I really started getting into like the recipes and stuff. And for me, I'm a variety person. I never knew that about myself, but I like variety. So if you would ask me, oh, do you have a favorite type of music or do you have a favorite style? I don't. I like it all. So for me, having variety and something exciting for breakfast, like today, I made my breakfast yesterday during my live stream cooking show. And I was so excited for breakfast that I'm like, I don't even want to eat this or take a bite of this or anything because I'm like, oh, I'm so excited for breakfast tomorrow. And that really keeps me staying bright and me staying on the plan because I don't want dessert. I would rather have what I'm going to have for a meal because I know it's going to be so exciting. But then I'm satisfied at the end of it because there's not the sugar or the flour to trigger those feelings of, oh, I need more. I need to have more. Oh, I have to have 5 more of these. Like I'll have my yogurt cheesecake and then I'm satisfied at the end. I'm like, oh, that was good. And then I'm happy.
I think that is such a valid point, and I think it's just really important for us to recognize that there's not just one exact program and plan that we have to follow exactly, and that we all need to figure out how to make this program sustainable for us so that it can
Yeah.
be a lifestyle change and not just the idea that I'm doing this as a diet. Like you said, if I think there's some real value in keeping our food simple.
Mhm.
But simple means something different to all of us, right?
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
so many of your recipes are just really, like I said, very quite simple and quite easy
Yeah.
just to put together 3 or 4 ingredients and make them up really quickly. So
Yeah.
it seems to me like everything that I've tried and is pretty simple in the sense that it's not a whole lot of ingredients,
Mhm.
and it is pretty quickly able to be put together. Um, I think that is important, and I think we all. I really believe that this journey is really about learning how to know ourselves and honor ourselves in a much deeper way than we ever have in the past. Really know, really know if there's a food that's triggering for you, and really know that, and maybe during more stressful times that you need to do things differently or whatever. But
Exactly.
really becoming more and more finely in tune to what works for you. And because I have to be honest, about 2.5 years ago, probably, I don't know that you know who Beth Monroe is, but I was actually sponsoring her about 2 years ago, and
Oh,
she was the one that introduced me to your
no
cookbooks. And she
way.
was saying that she was trying your stuff, and it was just really helping her out so much. And I remember initially feeling some resistance, thinking, "Oh, I don't know, this may not be a good thing." But I have found that to be such a good thing in the sense that, like, just as you said, that people need to figure out how to navigate this and make this doable for them so that they can stay on the program. And
Exactly.
so, if it's always nice to have a handful of really simple recipes that you could do in a flash. I mean, I'm not one that likes to plan and have a whole freezer full of food like some people do. And I want to ask you how you do. Do you cook every day, and or do you ever do any big preparations and freeze? I know you were doing some stuff for your uncle where you were preparing for a week ahead of for him, but for
Yeah.
you, what do you find that you like doing better? Some
I I don't really like to meal prep. I have stopped. I used to write down every meal that I was going to have, but now that this has become like a normal for me, I don't write down what I'm going to have for breakfast the next day. I just think to myself, oh, I'm going to make this or whatever's in the fridge. But dinner, I'll make a weekly menu, and I don't like to cook dinner every single night. So we found we were getting burnt out at the beginning because we were having to cook all these meals every single night. It was just so much. So now what we like to do is we'll cook one meal. So for example, Thursday, I made a bunch of taco meat because the boys like tacos too. They have their tortillas and all this stuff. So what we did was us girls had taco salads, and then the next night we had taco salads again. So we like to make it one meal for 2 days. So then you're not cooking every single day. But then usually breakfast and lunch I'll make every day for me.
Mhm.
I like to do that because then I kind of sense, oh, you know what? I'll get to the moment and I'm like, I just don't really want a salad. I'm going to have like some cooked vegetables for lunch, that kind of thing. And it's easy just to pop something in. And like you said, I like to have simple meals, but yet exciting. So they're simply exciting meals. And I do have in moments, like you said, where it is a more stressful thing, or I know something's going to be coming up. So I have like go-to meals. Like if I'm feeling like, oh, I don't feel like cooking at all for breakfast, I'll have like a parfait with like some puff cereals on top. Just something easy that's a go-to. And I have those for like lunch and supper too. So like taco salads, those are so easy for us because you just throw it together, the meat's cooked, throw it together. It's just, you have those go-to meals, which are really vital, and it becomes your normal, your habitats. I heard it takes 60 days to start a new habit, but it takes 90 days to start a lifestyle. And I really recognized around day 100, when we started day 100, something clicked and something shifted that I'm like, whoa, this is normal now. This feels so easy just to do this and just weigh the stuff. And I know what things count as, and I know what I can and cannot have. And my brain's not telling me, oh, that's an option now. Oh, that's an option now. Because those aren't even options anymore.
And I think that's a valid point because when in those early days and months, or when in the early days of a resume, if you're still having a lot of food chatter and you don't have the
Mm-hmm.
food neutrality or the food automaticity kicked in yet, then I think it really is important for you to be writing down your food and well planning things out. But as you've been doing this for a while, and it's in my fifth year now, right? I don't always write my food down. I keep track of it the day of just to make sure that I'm having all my quantities and stuff. But as far
Yeah.
as pre-planning, I find for me, I pre-plan the best by making sure that I have a well-stocked freezer, a well-stocked refrigerator, and a well-stocked pantry, so that if I do have a crazy day and something has happened, I can just grab a can of tuna fish, you know. I mean, and that's what to me is like the food neutrality. It's like I can just, it doesn't matter to me whether something is kind of really simple and easy, or the
Yeah.
day when I'm just rushing out the door and something I just need something quick. I know I have a couple of things that I can just grab and that can be good. You know, if you have apples and bananas and oranges, you can always just grab one of those, put it, you know, put a couple of things in the bag and run out the door.
Exactly.
I think that's important to me. That gives me a lot of peace knowing that I have well stocked, like I said, pantry, refrigerator, and freezer.
Definitely.
What
I keep a
helps?
lot of like frozen fruits and vegetables because those can't spoil on you. So then I always know, as you said, yeah, always just you plan ahead or you're going to plan to fail. So
Right.
you just, as long as you have those things available, it's easy to pick healthy stuff then.
Right. So what kind of things do you find helps you the most in pre-planning for you? Have you ever, like I said, the batch cooking, but I'm assuming all your recipes could be made ahead or doubled and then take half of them and freeze it or whatever. I think Beth Monroe does that a lot with some of your stuff as well, is the idea that you can make a bigger batch of it and then just, you know, put it in the freezer. That's what you were doing for your uncle, right? So you've been
Yes,
helping, have you been?
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I cook for him. So on Wednesdays, because I'm home now on Wednesdays, we don't have our kids program during the summer. So on Wednesdays, I like make most of his meals that day. So I'll take my Cooking with Joy cookbook and I'll just kind of look through and I'm like, oh, that looks good. We're going to make that. And then we're going to multiply that times 2. So then what I'll do is I'll make one layer of like a casserole thing for dinner. So I'll make one layer and that's one whole meal. And then I'll just start another layer of it on top. And that's the second meal. And then I'll just divide it in 2 and then put it in the containers. And then I'll freeze that for him. And yeah, I like to batch cook all of his meals. And then what I do is I'll have 2 days for him where it's like more fresher food. So like it'll be a salad type thing for lunches and then maybe like an overnight oat type thing for breakfast. So I got a message from the home today. It was really cute. And one of the managers there, she messaged me on Facebook and she said, oh, Timmy was asking about the morning glory muffins. And I'm like, morning glory muffins? I haven't made him that before. So she said that he was asking how many he would get. So I had to look up the picture because I didn't remember. I think it's in volume 6 or 7, one of like a random middle volume. So I looked it up and I'm like, oh, he would get like 9 or 10 donuts. So she said he doesn't believe me that he gets that many. So I sent them the pictures. So then I'm like, wait a second. How does he know about those? So I said, just curious. So I'm like, yeah, I can make those for breakfast for him. So I said, just curious, how did he know about the morning glory muffins? So she said, one of the other staff at the home there has one of my cookbooks and they were looking through it today. And I'm like, no way. That was so fun. And he wanted one of those. So I'm like, yes, I can make that for him.
Oh, how fun. How fun.
Yeah.
So, excellent. I know you do have one of my favorite ones that I have is one that I posted was that apple spice cake that you make in the microwave. You know, it's just so quick. My husband loves it. I made it again yesterday. And you just put all the ingredients together, pop it in the microwave for 3 minutes, and it's ready. It's really quick and easy. The hardest part was chopping up the apple. And
Right.
So a question in the chat is, are you a crystal vaser?
I am not. Now, okay, I have been no sugar, no flour as much, like you go out to eat and you never know what's in the sauce or maybe that kind of type thing. But at home, yes, no sugar, no flour. I've not crossed that line. Now, quantities, sometimes that could get a little bit wonky. Like maybe I'm a little more stressed that day or I waited too long to eat. So I'm like, oh, it went over like 0.2. I don't even care right now. So that has been, but most of the time it's very no sugar, no flour. That's not even an option anymore. But quantities that can get depending on the day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What are your thoughts about a crystal vase?
I mean, everybody, each person is different. Some people, I know I have some friends that they'll like mess up here and there. And when you cross that sugar and flour line, that creates that constant detox. And for me, I can't go through that too much. Like we went out to eat, we did a girls trip and we went out to eat every day. And I noticed when I came back, I'm like, woo, I'm going through a little detox. I don't like this. So eating out to me, I would rather just make my own meals because I know exactly what's in it. And then I know it's weighed perfectly. So to me, I cannot do that detox cycle all the time. It's too much work. I would rather just be at peace than try to.
How did you get to the piece where it's like, I think sometimes it can be really difficult for so many of us when we first start off because we're thinking, I can't and never have this again. And so this idea that we feel this restriction that we can't do this, I'm never going to be able to have sugar or flour again, just can feel like, give you what the hell effect, and like, oh, well, I can't be perfect, so I might as well not even try, kind of a thing. And I think it's really important for us to be cautious around what it is that we're telling ourselves, so that we don't set ourselves up to that slippery slope where it's like, we can't do this because we can't do it perfectly. So that sometimes can be really difficult. I think it's really important for us to learn how to give ourselves some grace, learn how to just really, embrace, like you said in the beginning of our conversation, that unstoppable type of an attitude, even when, like I said, the quantities are off a little bit. That's been my main thing as well. But
oh, good. It's not just me.
So yeah, I've never had a crystal vase. I never really even understood what a crystal vase was until I was like 6 or 7 months in. I was like, what do you mean a crystal vase? I don't even know what that means. I'm just unstoppable, right? I'm just, even if I do a little something wrong, the very next meal I'm back on track. And
exactly. Yeah.
That mindset.
And that's what I do is I go, like, let's say you go out to eat to a buffet and you probably overate. But then I know I'm going to go home and I'm going to go back to my normal, which that's what you really have to make it. You have to make this your new identity. It's not that, oh, I'm this person who I can't control myself, or I can't do this. I can't. Yes, you can. I make it my normal. This is who I am. I weigh my meals. I eat my meals. I don't eat sugar and flour. And you know what? I ate a broccoli over. That's not going to make me fat. And I'm just going to go back to my normal the next meal. And not to just, like you said, that, oh, well, I messed up. Might as well just keep messing up and get out the chips, get out the whatever it was.
That can be so dangerous. I have some things in this chat, people saying that a chickpea pizza and a cabbage crust pizza, are those your recipes?
Yes, those are some of the chickpea pizzas in volume 1.
Yes,
I know that.
And then the cabbage crust pizza, both of those people saying they just love those. They were much better than regular pizza, and they're a game changer. So,
right, yeah, I remember starting out thinking, oh no, because my thing was pizza and ice cream. So I remember thinking, I can never have pizza again. I can never have ice cream again. So I could not think too far in the future, because that was just way too scary to think I can never have that again. So I would just take it, especially like the first 2 weeks. I'm like, I can do anything for 2 weeks. I'm not going to think about, oh, well, what about at a party? They're going to serve cake. You can't have that. I'm not going to think about that. And then when you just kept going, well, now you got 14 days under your belt. Now you got 30 days under your belt. Now there comes that point where it just switches, where you're like, oh, I don't need to have that ever again, because I can have cabbage pizza. I can still have cake, but for breakfast in a yogurt cheesecake or in a muffin type thing. So I feel like I'm not missing out, and I don't need the fake stuff and the addiction stuff, because I can have the stuff that we get to eat, and it's so good that I don't need the other stuff. Who needs store-bought pizza where you're not satisfied after one whole pizza and you're like, oh, I wish I had 2 more. Now you eat your pizza and you're satisfied.
Excellent. I do have the chickpea. Tell us about the cabbage crust pizza. Where's that? Where do you find that one at?
Okay, that one's either in volume 4 or volume 6. I'm not exactly sure. Okay. After you get to the volumes, I'm like, oh, I don't remember what one that's in. But that one's really tasty too. I think it's almost a little bit easier than the chickpea pizza. So you can either take just like a bag of coleslaw, or you could take a cabbage and you're going to cut it really thin. You could even use like a little food processor and just pulse it a couple times. Then you're going to add an egg, add some spices, and like pizza spices, like oregano, parsley, basil, some garlic salt. You can even spice it up more if you want. And then you just put that on a pan and you bake it. And then it comes out this beautiful pizza. You put your toppings on, bake it a little longer, and it's actually like pick-upable. You can pick it up. It's a little bit softer, but you can still pick it up. And it's really tasty. It's one of my new favorites. And it's so easy, especially if you have like a bag of coleslaw. You can just throw it all together, stir it, you're done. Yeah.
My goodness, that sounds great.
Yeah. It's really yummy.
So tell us, I wanted to open up to any other questions that anybody has. So you're welcome to unmute yourself and ask Kelly a question, or Natalie a question.
That's okay.
Kelly is her sister. Kelly is posting in the chat for us one more time the website for Natalie's cookbook, so you can find them. She's also going to post for me the website for Kelly. So this is just an amazing family. Kelly's a publisher, and she does a lot of publishing of really beautiful Christian fiction, historical-based fiction novels. She'll be posting that in there for her as well. Their mom is a pastor, and she has a church, and so we're going to post that in there for you to see, because they do online church stuff, which is really fun. And then we're also going to post my private Facebook group, which is called the Bright Connection Spot, because we'll be posting the recording there of this here. So if you want to come back and watch any of it or share it with any of your friends, you can have access to that. So, but what questions do we have? What other questions do we have of Natalie? I'd rather I'm not really great at trying to read everything that's in the chat while we're talking here. So if there's something that I missed, or any of your books available on Kindle?
They're not available on Kindle, but I do have PDF ebooks. Those are only on my website, and a lot of people are like, oh, I can't find it on the website. It's at the bottom of the store page on my website, and I think Kelly posted it, weightlossrecipescookbook.com, and then you get it as a PDF digital version, and it's super easy there. And can you get PDFs on a Kindle? Oh, you can't, but you can get it digitally. And what's nice is when you get it in the email, then you can have it on whatever digital thing you want, which is pretty nice.
Excellent, excellent.
Yeah.
And any other questions that we have? I love this. Linda says, Natalie's recipes have transformed my BLE food into a thing of beauty. I literally eat meals that include her recipes every single day, and I've never enjoyed my food more. And what a beautiful testimony that is, right? I mean, we don't want to feel like we have to stop enjoying this beautiful food that we have. We have such a great variety available to us, and learning how to really satisfy our palates in a healthy way is just a really great thing that we're great service that we're doing for ourselves. So
we still get to have such delicious foods, and people think, oh, well, that's such a restrictive diet. We're only cutting out 2 things, sugar and flour. That's it. And if you look at like recipes, they're measuring what's put in each recipe anyway. So it's not restrictive. We just weigh our stuff instead of measuring it. So exactly. We get to have such tasty meals. And it's not like, oh, well, this is dessert. No, this is the meal. So that is, oh, Linda, you are just so sweet. Oh, my goodness.
That's sweet. So let's see. There was I don't know what happened. I saw a question about the cabbage pizza, but now I'm not seeing it. So I don't know. Please do raise your hand and ask any other additional questions you have. I'd like to, does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, the cabbage pizza question was mine. I'm Rita D'Angelo. I was wondering if you think it would work with a flax egg, because I'm Whole Foods plant-based.
Okay. Oh, that's a great question. I've never tried it, but I think it would. And flax eggs are great. And when you use a flax egg, because you only use 1/2 ounce of ground flax, that's only 1/4 of your protein. So you get an extra 1/4 for like your toppings. I think it would work. Try it.
I will try it. Thanks.
Nice.
Be adventurous.
Back and report. Let us know. Let us know how.
Let us know.
Post some pictures. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had somebody ask me about the yogurt cheesecake if they could do a flax egg. So I tried it. It did work. So flax eggs, they're like little magical. They're magical. They can do a lot of things.
Well, I've never heard of a flax egg before. What is that?
Oh, it's a vegan thing. I've never learned so much about like vegan and vegetarian before, since getting into these cookbooks, and it's been so fun. So a flax egg is a 1/2 ounce of ground flaxseed and 3 tablespoons water. And then you mix it together and just let it sit, and it turns into like this gel, and it acts just like an egg, but it's not an egg. Yeah. So it's kind of fun.
Yeah. Well, we're going to be closing it out in just a minute, but I did want to just ask just for a little bit. Tell me about what's happening with maintenance for you. You said are you still on weight loss, or are you transitioning to maintenance?
I'm still on weight loss, but I dabbled in maintenance at one time because I did hit like an initial goal. So I was in maintenance for a while, and then I thought, because I told myself, okay, I'm going to go to maintenance, but if I don't like it, I can always go back. So when I did maintenance, I thought, I could lose just a couple more pounds. So I went back to weight loss, and I'm still in weight loss, and I'm still like dabbling around with about 10 pounds that I just, those last 10 pounds, but they'll come off.
Really? Because you look like you should be in maintenance. I'm sorry. But yeah, you look fabulous. And, you do sometimes still lose a little bit when you're in maintenance as well. So
right. I was a little bit on the slower end of losing. My normal weight loss was like a pound and a half, which puts me at a little bit of the slower end of weight loss. But yeah, I have heard of people losing weight during maintenance, which when I was on it for, I think it was about a month, I didn't. So I thought, well, let's go back to weight loss. And then if I don't like that, I can always go back. So it's a dance.
And so tell us a little bit more about your musical career. I know you do a lot of music. You play different instruments too, right?
Yeah, our family is the worship band for our church, and we were just at a teen conference. We did the worship for them, which has been so fun. I play the drums and I sing. And then when I'm not doing that, I also lead worship too. I play the keyboard and I sing, and I can play like 2 chords on the guitar. So I'm a professional at that.
Well, you are just amazingly talented and gifted.
Oh, you're so sweet.
So creative in all the things that you're doing with you and your family. And we just really appreciate that you've added so much beauty and good flavors and good foods to our BLE journey. So thank you so much for that. Any parting words that you'd like to share in reference to your journey, or encouraging those that are new, or anything that you would like to close us out with?
Definitely. There's been one life journey that I learned at the beginning, and I keep telling myself this, and it just keeps coming up, that no matter how many times you fall, you fail, you mess up, something happens, if you don't quit and you don't do the just downward crash, if you don't quit and you get back up and just keep going, you will get there and you'll win every time. So just don't quit.
Excellent. Yeah, couldn't have said that better. I love just the whole idea that we're just going to remain unstoppable together. And I really think that togetherness, by helping each other out, by showing up, being seen, being heard. So keep showing up. Keep, participating in the Facebook stuff, the Zoom calls. Yes. I really think all of that just helps us all to become stronger and to remain unstoppable together. So thank you so much. I hope to see more of you again, and you have a beautiful Saturday.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been an honor being on here with all of you.
Thanks, Natalie. We appreciate it. Everybody, please unmute, say goodbye to Natalie, and tell us where you're calling from as you say goodbye.
Bye, Natalie.
Thank you. Houston, Texas.
All right, thank you. Selma, California. Bye.
Bye, Natalie.
From
Florida.
Twin Falls, Idaho.
Good. Who else?
Thanks, Cindy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Guys.
Thank you, Natalie. We loved it.
Thank you.
Fun. I'm just recognizing you, Lynette, over there with your group. How fun.
We're all here.
Yay.
I drove 3 hours to listen.
Fun.
Oh my gosh.
This is our mastermind group.
Okay.
Yeah, this is our mastermind group since the beginning, 2017.
Oh man, that's impressive.
Oh,
how fun. You all are together.
And Gus, he's one exception. He's our mascot.
Cute, cute, cute. You guys have a beautiful Saturday. So glad to see everyone today.
Bye.
Thanks, Natalie.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, that was great.
Thank you. Let's see. Somebody is just. Alrighty. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Tell
Cindy.
your mom and Kelly hi for me.
I will. You have a fabulous Saturday also.
Too. See you later. See you soon. Bye-bye.